defending the WBA light welterweight championship against the former feather, super feather and lightweight champion and one of the greatest fighters on this earth, Alexis Arguello, who is still boxing today at the age of 42. Came back just a few weeks ago after an 8-year absence. A bit Jorge Palomares on points over 8 rounds. So Arguello in the bright blue trunks against Aaron Pryor, a man who, in my book, did everything wrong but got away with it. What a cracker this was. Alexis Arguello looking to become a 4-weight world champion. And of course this one's scheduled for the old route of 15 rounds. Those were the days. So a furious start by both men. Aaron Pryor feeling he had the strength to absorb everything a former lightweight champion could throw. And Pryor made his debut way back in 1976. But Arguello had been a pro since 1968. And it's worth scoring this one, as if you're watching it for the first time ever. And of course many of you will be. Alexis Arguello, one of the most correct fighters ever produced, from Managua in Nicaragua. And Arguello already showing a bit of redness around the face as Pryor whacks in the right hands. And Aaron Pryor, possibly one of the first cracking punches there from Arguello. Sorry, from Pryor. Arguello in a bit of trouble. Got to say that Aaron Pryor, possibly one of the first high-profile drug abusers in boxing. So some very smart left-hand work coming in from Arguello, but the volume of punch and the variety of punch coming from Pryor. He hails, of course, from Cincinnati, Ohio, nicknamed the Hawk. And just watch him style-wise. He does an awful lot of things wrong. Hands down, throwing punches from odd angles. The footwork isn't great either. The chin's up in the air and he's right in front of you. But he wins. And again, lovely punches there, thumping into the face of Arguello. And Alexis ends round 1 with a bit of a deficit. Good start there by Pryor. And Alexis Arguello won his first championship way back now in 1974. Beat the former great bantamweight champion Ruben Olivares on a 13th round knockout. And he previously challenged for the same title, the featherweight championship, when he fought Ernesto Marcel, who was appointed 9 months earlier for the WBA featherweight title. So Aaron Pryor picking up where he left off in round 1. Surging forward, letting go with both hands. Arguello absorbing some good wallops from the naturally heavier man. And Arguello was always rated as a very smart fighter. Good boxing brain. Arguello would defend his WBA featherweight championship on 3 occasions, then move up to lightweight. Sorry, to super feather. And win the WBC super featherweight title. That was in 1978. The man he beat then was Alfredo Escalera. And in fact, Arguello would make 8 defences of the WBC super featherweight title. And one man who distinguished himself pretty well in a non-title affair with Arguello was Cornelius Boza Edwards, who go on to become champion at the same weight. Nice exchange there, both men working hard, both hands. But Aaron Pryor still the man in charge, defending his title. This in fact was the 6th defence of the WBA light welterweight championship by Aaron Pryor, and arguably his toughest to date. He beat Antonio Cervantes, good fighter in his day, in 1980 on a 4th round knockout to win the title, and would take the 2nd round as well, although some better times there for Alexis Arguello. Round 3, scheduled for 15, and those days of course ended in early 1988 when Frank Tate defended his title against Tony Simpson in Leicester. And just hours before the fight took place, you may remember, there was some confusion as to whether the fight would be a 15-rounder or a 12-rounder, and it was cut to 12 at the 11th hour. So round 3 of this 15-round light welterweight championship, Aaron Pryor in the black trunks, the holder, making 6 defence against the Nicaraguan Alexis Arguello, aiming to become a 4-weight world champion. And with the greatest respect to Aaron Pryor and his record, the win over Antonio Cervantes to win this championship was probably, with the exception of the Arguello fights, was the highlight really of his defences, because he didn't really fight anyone of any great note before or after Arguello. And Alexis once again under some pressure. And that lovely whipping bolo punch from Arguello, followed by a left hook and then a right. This time trying to drive Pryor back. But the question was, of course, would he have the strength at a higher poundage? This is the 10-stone championship. He'd been champion at 9 stone 7, 9 stone 4, and 9 stone, of course, as Pryor jiggles himself out of trouble. Best round so far that Arguello would have. Now beginning to block some of these punches by the champion. Too many of them getting through in the first couple of rounds. Nice shot. And again the left hook there catching Aaron Pryor. And now Alexis Arguello just might be boxing himself in front in round 3. Referee for this one, Stan Christodoulou from South Africa. And a couple of men worth mentioning on the record of Alexis Arguello in super featherweight title defences. He beat Rafael Bazooka Limon from the Philippines in 11. Also Bobby Chacon in 7. Great performances. And of course I remember being ringside when he defended his title against Jim Watt. Now appointed Jim over 15 rounds, and of course Jim making a big name for himself these days as a boxing commentator. Glad to see it. Then that tremendous fight that Arguello had with Ray Boom Boom Mancini, and he eventually got to Mancini, stopped him in the 14th round. This is round 4. Aaron Pryor once again getting Alexis Arguello trapped on the ropes. Of course it suits Arguello to be in space. So far lacking the natural strength to keep the bigger man on the end of that long jab. Alexis Arguello back in the ring, of course, these days because of financial difficulty. The corrupt regime in Nicaragua, as well as a few bad investments, and the old crook around the corner. Of course, purses in these days, back in 1982, don't compare to today's money. You get some very mediocre fighters getting more than these men were on. Nice punches there from Pryor. Not a bad round this though by Arguello so far. Not as good as the third, which I thought he nicked. Of course, Alexis Arguello's always endeared himself to fight fans. Never badmouths anybody. Always got a good word to say. Already Arguello looking a bit laboured, and if you see what I mean about Aaron Pryor doing it all wrong but still getting away with murder. Of course, another man who did that was Muhammad Ali, of course, wasn't it? So can he round this by the champion? Coming up, bit of replay here from the fourth session with Aaron Pryor getting through some wonderful looking punches from both hands. Alexis Arguello standing up very gamely, and those of you who have recalled that I made a mistake, I won't try and say it's a deliberate error because it wasn't. When Alexis Arguello became lightweight champion, it was in fact Jim Watt. He took the championship off, didn't defend against Jim Watt. He won it from Jim Watt, made his first defence against Ray Mancini. In fact, Arguello will make 4 successful defences of his lightweight title before giving it up to try and take on Aaron Pryor here. So round 5 of a potential 15-round contest. Wonderful start. A lot of people thinking at this time that Arguello wouldn't get hit quite as much. I remember I thought that at the time, thinking he might have been a bit smart and stayed out of Pryor's way. But it was quite a revelation to see Pryor still manage to score with so many punches on a modern-day great. In fact, one of the best world champions at any weight in any era, Alexis Arguello. That goes without saying. Arguello not able to connect. Pryor ungainly in every way, and if anyone would get through, a man like Arguello would, but failing to. Nice long left hook there by Alexis. And when you think about it, this is really a featherweight against the light welterweight. And that's a 3-weight difference. A full stone, in fact, between featherweight and light welter. 9 stone as opposed to 10. And physically, of course, Arguello is tall, if not just a wee bit taller than Pryor, but certainly didn't have the meat on him. And the crowd cheering everything Arguello does. A man who's always endeared himself, as I say, to the fight fans all over the world. Arguello then, lumpy around the left eye as Pryor wins the 5th. Couple of nice punches from Arguello in that session, but not enough. Round 6. Alexis Arguello in the royal blue shorts. Aaron Pryor, the champion, warmed up now, letting them go. Pryor on his toes. And of course Arguello didn't quite know where the next punch was coming from. So awkward was the man in front of him. Pryor's win for the title and his subsequent defences coming into this one were all inside the distance. Lovely shot. And Arguello gets through the right to the head. Bit of damage now on the right eye of Alexis Arguello. Or left eye. And Pryor thoroughly enjoying himself here. Of course, got the confidence that a man of Arguello's former poundage couldn't possibly hurt him. And this, a very conclusive round by the light welterweight champion, Aaron Pryor. Arguello cut on the left eye in this 6th, but still plugging away gamely. That's a very good round for the champion. Punches like that didn't aid Arguello's cause. Nasty cut on the eyelid and spreading down the side. It wouldn't get any better.
No lo dejes con confianza, ¿ok? No lo dejes con confianza. Tú tienes que iniciar rally de 4 o 5 rounds.
Move in right, left foot. Okay? Keep that down.
Termina con 4 o 5 golpes. No esperes por él.
So this is round 7. Aaron Pryor on his toes in the 6th and bouncing once again here at the start of the 7th. Presenting a very mobile target for Arguello to try and catch. Very difficult, of course. Arguello, the epitome really of the orthodox boxer. Very textbook. And if you want to know how to do it right, watch Arguello. If you want to know how to do it wrong, although very successfully, watch Aaron Pryor. Every punch he throws, his chin is way up in the air. The right hand pulls back when he jabs. And any decent coach, of course, will tell you that those things you must not do. But as I say, few people got away with it the way Pryor did. Oh, a lovely uppercut. And once again, when he threw that punch, the other hand was way down by his waist. Arguello very gamely walking forward. Nice jab from him, but absorbing too many punches for me. and they were hurting as well. That cut on the left eye didn't seem to have got any worse in this round. And Alexis connecting with barely a handful of reasonable punches so far in round 7. And I was a big fan of Arguello's, and it came as something of a surprise to me to see him handled so easily by Aaron Pryor in this first half or so of the contest, although a nice right hand there by Alexis. And he's the man, of course, who could finish a fight late if he so wished. A good comeback by Arguello towards the finish, but a good round once again for the champion. A good comeback then towards the end of round 7 from Alexis Arguello, getting through with 10, possibly more punches there to the head of Aaron Pryor, but not enough to win in the round, surely. Round 8 of this 15-rounder coming up. Alexis Arguello, the master technician, and that's really showing here against this very awkward non-stylist, for want of a better word, in Aaron Pryor. Alexis stalking forward, but walking onto punches, although getting the left hand working pretty well. And at times, I must admit, and I'm casting my mind back to 1982, at times I felt that all Aaron Pryor needed to do in this one was step it up and put a combination together and sustain it to stop Alexis Arguello or even knock him out. I also wonder what made a man like Arguello, obviously I know now, but I wondered in those days what made a man walk into punishment like this and just keep on doing it. And Pryor could do it either way, go forward, take the initiative, or counter punch going backwards. And he'd done both in this one so far, keeping Arguello thinking. And a deceptively hard puncher as well, Pryor. And now Aaron Pryor working the body, coming up to the left hook, to the head. And a cracking round there once again with barely a handful of punches by Arguello. At this point, I had Aaron Pryor 6 rounds in front, or 6 points in front at 79 to 73 as we come into round 9. And don't they zip by when they're good. Aaron Pryor always looking comfortable. Arguello got the centre of the ring. Pryor forced to use his legs, but no problem for him. On the days when Alexis Arguello hit you, you stayed hit. Well and truly over in this match. No more than a respectable puncher, I would say, against Pryor. It's stopped one and knocked out 4 of his previous 5 coming into this one, and a good exchange there. Sorry, knocked out 3 of the previous 4 coming into this one. Stopped the other one. Prior to that, of course, it was a points win over Jim Watt. Well, a right hand over the top there from Arguello. And a good right there from Arguello, catching Pryor on the chin. But look the way Pryor can stand in front. He can hit you, but you can't hit him back. 4 punches Arguello threw then, not one of them landed. And Aaron Pryor well within arm's reach. That's probably the most overwhelming feature of this fight for me, the fact that Aaron Pryor could stand there with his chin up in the air, his hands down by his waist, and still Arguello couldn't land. Another round for the Hawk. 89-82 on my card after 9 rounds. Round 10 coming up. Here we go. Alexis Arguello still eating leather. The corner had done a good job containing the bleeding on the left eye. But as the rounds wore on, Arguello would mark up.
Now you cut that out, I'll send you away from the corner here.
And Arguello's cornerman there being warned. Of course, no one would have expected anything less than a 100% dignified performance by Arguello. And again, Pryor punch picking perfectly. Oh, a lovely shot head back from Arguello. And still Pryor presenting a very mobile target. Arguello finding it very difficult to let the punches go now, knowing that once those hands leave his chin, there's another one going to come back at him. And they're stiff punches too, delivered by a man who's naturally heavier. And no slouch at all. And now Pryor showing the right, landing the left. And the Arguello fans in the auditorium not enjoying this. Good shot by Arguello, and if punches were like that, weren't going to shift Pryor, there was very little hope for the Nicaraguan. Good round again for Pryor. Replay from round 10. There you see Pryor shaking that right glove, landing the left, looking down to the body, coming up to the chin. And I'd have 8 points clear coming into round 11. Referee Stanley Kustadulu wants the water knocked up in the Pryor corner. So Aaron Pryor, and the WBA light welterweight champion, defending here against the Nicaraguan Alexis Arguello, who was champion at feather, super feather and lightweight coming into this match. Aaron Pryor would hold championships at 3 different weights for a span of 8 years. And that's some going. And of course, at a time when it meant a great deal to be a world champion. Once again, Arguello gets through the right hand. This in the days, of course, when the WBC and the WBA were the only 2 ruling bodies on this planet. Although 1984 would see the rise of the IBF. Lovely little slip there from Pryor, then the counter punch. Pryor looking and feeling very confident. And a crunching right hand from Alexis Arguello, the best punch of the fight from him. And that was his one chance, he felt, and it came in round 11. But suddenly, Pryor refused to wilt. Arguello still looking to raise the energy for another attack. And there were plenty of times in the career of Alexis Arguello where he would win late in a fight. Once again, crunching right hand from the challenger. And the bell has gone. And that looked like a pretty level round. But if you go on quality of punch, it's Arguello's. Were we going to see a dramatic turnaround to this one? Alexis Arguello 9 points in front on my card. Sorry, Aaron Pryor 9 points in front. 4 rounds to go. Of course, these days, this next round will be the last. But in the days when it meant something to be a world champion, you'd have to do another 3. Of course, I think the IBO still have their championships over 15 rounds. I think that's the International Boxing Organisation. I do believe that Vinny Pazienza is the only champion they can claim to date, although I may be wrong. And that distance between 12 and 15, that's what separates the men from the boys. And how many men, you could rewrite the history books, how many men would be beaten between rounds 13 and 15 in the old days, who could possibly have been champions had the distance been at 12? And conversely, of course, how many men could have won in that period instead of losing on points over the 12 rounds? Of course, there's some glaring examples of fighters today who couldn't do 12 rounds if 15 rounds if their lives depended on it. Alexis Arguello, buoyed up by his success in round 11, looking for more here in the 12th. Wants a big punch to try and slow this champion down. Alexis Arguello, a man who never gives less than 100%, still trying so hard. Now, trying to counter-punch the counter-puncher. Off on a successful ploy. But in fact, retrospectively, Arguello may well have been better advised to have done that right from the very beginning. Allow Pryor to lead, then counter him. Lovely shots from Pryor. And just when Arguello looked like he might be on his way to sharing this round, Pryor takes it away from him.
Let's keep the second one. Come on.
So coming to round 13 then, Aaron Pryor a mile in front. And looking like he could do even better. Now, head to head, both two-fisted. Aaron Pryor's got his second win. Out now to try and destroy Arguello. Already Alexis Arguello being hit more times in this one contest than he possibly had in his previous fights put together. Arguello, as I say, first fought for his world championship in 1974, and he lost the first time on points over 15 and beat the great Ruben Olivares. Oh, lovely shot from Arguello. Well, if Arguello's phenomenal punching power with the right hand was going to count for anything in this fight, it would have been then. So possibly all of Arguello's supporters who held out a bit of hope for a smashing right hand to do the business, surely now feeling that this was beyond their man. That's a stumble by Pryor. So 10 seconds to go then in round 13. Good right hand there from Pryor. And of course, there's been the odd occasion when a 13th round has been boxed in the last few years. Can't exactly remember when.
6 minutes and you champion still, but you gotta win the round. Alright? Gotta win these 2 rounds. Give some water, give some water. Give me
For round 14 coming up.
The one I mix. Okay? Come on.
So then this is the penultimate round of the 14th of the scheduled 15. Aaron Pryor, the WBA light welterweight champion, making his 6th defence against the former 3-time world champion Alexis Arguello. And of course, no qualms meet about saying world champion back in 1982, because as I say, it really did mean something in those days. Not so much these days, of course, with the proliferation of various ruling bodies. Nonetheless, every one of those men, I'm sure, proud to be champions. Little duck and right hand from Pryor. And some good work there by Pryor. And suddenly Alexis Arguello falls apart in the 14th round. Referee Stan Cristodulo looks very closely as Arguello soaks up punishment and decides to jump in and stop it to register a superb win for Aaron Pryor, who go on to repeat it in 10 rounds 10 months later when they'd meet again. And Alexis Arguello would finish with 79 professional wins, 7 losses, 63 knockouts. Pryor, well, he'd go on to win 39 contests with only 1 loss and 35 of his men beaten inside the limit. Well, it's been a tremendous best fight, I think you'll agree.